All right, let's get into this. You guys announced today $30 million Series B.
Yep.
Caveat, we invested. So everyone, yes, we are investors. What's been going on at Blockfi? Why are people giving you $30 million, including us?
Yeah, so, a couple things. It was definitely an opportunistic fundraise for us, and the reason we decided to do it is we raised our Series A in July of last year. Back half of last year, we set really aggressive targets for the company, and we blew them out of the water in terms of number of new clients, in terms of the amount of revenue we're generating, institutional traction, and all of this stuff kind of starts feeding on itself and generating momentum. So we were seeing great performance, great growth, and we also have a very ambitious product pipeline for this year of new things that we want to bring to the market. And we wanted to be able to bring those new things to market with confidence, especially the Bitcoin Rewards credit cards. Launching a credit card is not it's not a small effort, and we want to do some really fun marketing. And so, for all of these reasons, we felt like we could go to market and raise more capital, and now is the time to do it. And fortunately, when we started having that conversation, the folks that are already sitting around the table, including yourself, were like, "Hey, you don't need to go to market too much. We can just."
We don't need to go fundraise. We can all just do this right here, right now.
Yeah, and so it came together pretty quickly, and I'm excited as the CEO. The team's grown a lot. We've got just such fantastic people working at the company, and it's been amazing to see the speed at which we've developed things and the high level of client service that we've been able to maintain throughout the growth that we've experienced. And now we're just setting an awesome tone for this year, right?
So right now you've got 3 products, right? I can put crypto in and take a US dollar loan against my crypto collateral. I can put crypto in and get paid interest on Bitcoin, Ethereum, GUSD. And then I can also buy and sell crypto as an exchange. But what can you tell us about numbers? Because in the Bloomberg article in the announcement, revenue's up 20x since last January. That's a big fucking jump. Where's that coming from? Is that just the launch of new products? Is that kind of people using the existing products more? How do you think about that, and what are you willing to say?
Yeah, sure. So it's a combination of things. So first and foremost, it's driven by increased adoption in terms of the number of clients that we have on the platform, both retail and institutional. As a result of the client growth, we've grown assets on the platform and AUM. The number that we put out in the official Series B press release was $650 million on the platform. It's actually healthily above that now because we finalized that copy a couple weeks ago. And those things drive revenue. So the more clients you have, the more people are going to trade, the more people are going to take loans, the larger balance that you have that's earning interest, and the balances that are earning interest are what gives us the ability to lend more capital. And the majority of the revenue that we make is from lending, getting paid on lending, whether that's USD or crypto. And so, we're doing well over $1 million a month now, and it's doubled just since we decided to do the Series B in early December.
All right, so
to when we closed the round. So we're hitting kind of a new pace in terms of that trajectory, which is great to see.
So you're up 20x in revenue over the last year. In the last 45 days, give or take, revenue has doubled, and you're now doing well over $1 million a month in revenue. You get $650 million plus in assets on the platform, and you continue to move the interest rates to kind of serve customer needs, right? So one of the things that I think a lot of people have questions around is just how do you come up with what is the interest rate, right? And we're talking specifically around the interest product. Can you explain kind of the mechanisms there and why it changes month to month?
Sure. So there's a number of different factors that go into determining the interest rate. So the first thing is just the market. And the market has a couple of different inputs to it. The futures curve and the funding rates on derivatives platforms are very important in terms of seeing where the market is for lending rates. Another big part of the market is supply and demand. How much capacity does the market have to lend dollars, to lend crypto, relative to how many places there are that, and institutions there are that are interested in borrowing it. And so the rates are, primarily set by the market, but then there's a few things that we do to incentivize adoption. So we have for crypto, we have a tiered interest structure where, for example, today on your first 5 Bitcoin, you earn 5.15% annual yield. And for your balance above 5 Bitcoin, you earn 3.25% annual yield. And the reason that we did that is that we wanted to provide a high rate to as many people as we possibly could. And also we're always cognizant of competition in the market and take client service out of it, take UX out of it, take trustworthiness out of it. At the end of the day, with financial products, rate is really important. And so we want our rates, whether it's how much it costs someone to get a loan or whether it's how much someone's earning in interest, to be the best in the market for the types of products that we offer. And so all of those things, play a role in us determining the interest rates that we're able to offer, and we change them month to month based on changing dynamics. So, the most fundamental thing that changes and is starting to change pretty dramatically right now is the market is shifting heavily bullish for Bitcoin. There's a lot of underlying trends pointing to increased adoption, both on institutional and retail. And there's a lot of excitement and anticipation of the supply reduction with the halvening. There's a lot of new kind of regular buying pressure being created through adoption of products that are substituting Bitcoin in instead of traditional rewards and enabling people that already know this is a great investment to just stack more sats, get more Bitcoin.
Yep.
And all of these things are coming together, and they're making the market position heavily bullish. When the market is positioned heavily bullish, there is slightly less demand to borrow Bitcoin than in times where the market's neutral or bearish. Yep. So if you look at some of the key metrics that go into determining what interest rates we're able to offer, the interest rates are moving downwards for Bitcoin right now. The trend line is moving downwards and moving dramatically upwards for dollars. Because people want more dollars to buy more Bitcoin.
Of course. And then you guys announced that you're going to come out with this credit card, right? So you got the 3 products today. And when you announced the credit card, I think a lot of people, it just kind of took them by surprise, right? In the sense of no one's really thought about, well, there's things like Lolly or Fold app, et cetera, where I can get paid in Bitcoin cash back for my purchases, but that's really using kind of a plug-in type technology stack. What you guys are talking about here is that you're going to issue a credit card. So I can come in, I can apply for a credit card, you approve me, give me the credit card, and when I use it for everyday purchases, I'll actually earn my cash back, in air quotes. I'll earn it in Bitcoin. And it's just another way for me to get access to Bitcoin without having to go put fiat currency in and buy it through an exchange.
That's exactly right. And it's important to note a few things when we're talking about the card product, because there have been a couple of different card products that have come out in the cryptocurrency space already. One fundamental difference between what we're doing and what's existed in the past is that it's a credit card, not a debit card.
Okay.
So debit cards, you're spending money that you've already funded into an account. Credit cards, you're spending money that is credit, and that if you pay back at the end of every month, you don't pay an interest rate on whatsoever. Credit cards also come, the way these payment networks work in the U.S. at least. Credit card networks have a higher interchange capture rate, which is basically how the card companies make money from the merchants when credit card transactions are processed. And as a result, credit cards offer higher cash back rates to consumers than debit cards do. So we think of the Blockfi Bitcoin Rewards Card as something that's competing more with Chase Sapphire Reserve or your airline mile card. It's for a prime consumer. It's going to have a high cash back rate. It's a credit card where you don't have to pre-fund it to be able to spend money. Just instead of earning airline miles or normal cash back, you're going to earn Bitcoin. And we're huge fans of Lolly and Fold and all of these apps. I think one of the big trends of this year is going to be all of these things working together to create a lot of regular buying demand. And you can use the Blockfi Bitcoin Rewards Card with Lolly at the same time.
So If you're really crazy about this and fanatical, what you could literally do,
which I am, by the way, I'm going to do it.
So am I, of course, so am I. Is you can use the Blockfi credit card through a Lolly or Fold app to then buy, let's say, a flight for work that then ends up being reimbursed, and so you end up earning the free Bitcoin, and you're double dipping almost, right? You're using the credit card rewards back, but also the Lolly or Fold app rewards as well.
Yeah, and you're going to get, for example, 3 to 5% back by using the Lolly link, and 1.5 to 3% back on the BlockFi Bitcoin rewards card.
1.5 to 3% is where you think it'll end up.
Yeah, we're still finalizing the exact numbers with our partners, and there's some questions there about how much you want to incentivize certain types of spending. There's basically two models you can go with. You can either go with a high flat cashback rate on every transaction, just a high base rate, or you can do something where you have like a 1% cash back rate on every transaction, and then for certain types of purchases, you offer higher rates, 2, 3, 4, 5%. So we haven't made a final decision on which one of those options we're going to go with, but it'll be a cash back rate that's competitive with prime cards that are in the market today.
Got it. And then, do you have any idea in terms of who will be eligible for the credit card? I think that's another question I've seen a lot online of just like, is this a credit score based thing? Is there other things that'll go into who gets approved and who doesn't?
Yeah, it's going to be traditional credit underwriting. So if your FICO score is not in a good spot, definitely work on it now in advance of the card coming out. So nothing specific to say there, but generally the cutoff for prime, which is the part of the market that we'll be operating in, is in between 650 and 710. On the lower end in terms of what your credit score needs to be to receive the card. And there's other variables that will go into the underwriting model, including your self-reported annual income, age, credit history, etc. But it'll be underwritten the same way that traditional credit cards are underwritten.
I'm laughing because I'm getting tweets right now of people saying, "Good morning, guys. How about some money for AMA participants?"
How about we're working on AMA participants?
When the credit card comes out, you'll get all the money back you could ever dream of. Last time that I think we did a podcast episode, I asked you, what do you believe in that other people would disagree with you, or kind of what's your most controversial thought? And you said that people essentially were underestimating the importance of stablecoins.
Yeah, this was a while ago too, like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Stablecoins end up being pretty important. and both stablecoins in the general sense of USDC, GUSD, Tether, TrueUSD, all of kind of what I'll call the crypto and private corporation, Libra as well. And then now we're seeing like the digital dollar, the digital yen, and all of the government-issued digitized currencies that I'll put in the stablecoin category. I don't want to say you were quote-unquote right, but you were probably more right than wrong in terms of directionally kind of how this is playing out. What are your thoughts today on stablecoins and kind of their importance?
I'm still incredibly bullish. I think that if you survey, name your emerging or frontier market, and if you survey people in that market, 100 people, and you say, how many of you want to hold dollars and how many of you want to hold Bitcoin? Mm-hmm. Pretty close to 100 would say they want to hold dollars, and depending on where you're asking that question, they might not be able to. The only way they might be able to hold dollars right now is by getting $100 bills on the black market and shoving it under their mattress. And probably between 1 and 15 of the people would say they also want to hold Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. And so these markets for dollars outside the U.S. and outside of regions where dollars are the base currency are massive for institutions and multinational corporations. Dollar-denominated debt borrowed by folks outside the U.S. is an $11 trillion market that's growing at a 7-8% clip every year and showing no signs of slowing down. That market has never been open to retail. So this, credit market, access to credit, access to debt, ability to save in something that's relatively stable and earns an interest rate isn't something that most people around the world have had access to, and that's what the dollar provides. And so my view continues to be that stablecoin adoption is going to grow. It's it's going to grow dramatically. Dollars on the blockchain will probably be bigger than Bitcoin at some point over the next 2 to 5 years.
In market cap size?
In market cap size. Okay. And all of that trend happening is awesome for Bitcoin.
Why?
Because if you have people holding digital dollars, whether it's in stablecoin form or another form, with fintech companies or cryptocurrency companies, the money gets that much closer to Bitcoin. And so your opportunity to convert folks into owning cryptocurrency is just that much easier. And so I think that for companies like us, we think of Blockfi as potentially 1, 2, 3 years from now entering another phase in our business. We're still very much focused on just delivering really awesome products for cryptocurrency investors right now. Mm-hmm. But we think we might, in a couple of years, be in a position to have products for folks that aren't interested in Bitcoin yet. They're actually just interested in earning an interest rate on dollars, and they're coming from a place where that wasn't possible before. And that's where they start.
Yep. Well, so a lot of people don't know this, and I've gone around the country literally and talked to institution after institution about right now I can take money and I can put it into GUSD. I can then turn around and I can hand that to Blockfi in an interest-bearing account, and I can earn 8.5%.
Yeah, 8.6.
8.6% APY on that deposit.
And USDC as well now.
And USDC. Okay.
Yep.
So that's a really, really high interest rate compared to the fiat traditional banking system, right? Money market accounts, maybe you're squeaking out 100, 150 basis points on the high end.
Yep.
You're talking about an 860 basis point APY on a digital dollar, right? Does that come down over time? Like where does that interest rate kind of evolve? And the reason I'm asking that is, do we eventually enter a world where people are financially incentivized to move from the fiat currencies in the traditional banking system into this digital dollar world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people are incentivized to do that now, but the rates will absolutely trend towards the rates that you see in traditional markets. But I think that's going to take quite a while.
Okay, why?
Fundamentally, the cryptocurrency, digital asset, blockchain sector does not have access to the same types of capital that traditional markets do. It's a little bit like the marijuana industry or other new industries where it's still emerging. People don't understand it. It's a new technology, and banks move at the speed of slugs, right? And they're afraid of everything, and they're not that interested in it.
They're very risk averse.
They're very risk averse. So I actually think that our rates that we're paying on stablecoins might go up before they go down. So we might have an announcement there in the next week or two about a rate increase on stablecoins. And over time, as it scales, they will definitely trend downwards. And one analogy that we look at is I'm forgetting the name of it. I think it's Yebao.
What's that?
It was the money market. It's the money market type fund from either Alibaba or
Alibaba. It's like the largest money market fund.
Money market fund in the world. When that thing came out, it was offering an interest rate of like 9%,
mm-hmm.
and now the interest rate that it offers is below the risk-free rate.
Yep.
For bank deposits in the market that it operates in. But that transition took a long time, and during that transition, so many things got added onto that platform in terms of functionality that you can also do with the dollars that people are happy to, or the RMB, mm-hmm. That people are happy to, keep their capital there because it's a better option than what was available from the traditional banking system. And what makes it a better option can shift over time. On day one, it can just be the interest rate, and the interest rate is dramatically better. But in year 3, 4, 5, 6, it might be that there's this suite of additional services in addition to a better user experience, client service experience versus the traditional banking system that keeps people on the platform.
So Yebao, I think is the right way to pronounce it. I just looked, and it definitely was the world's largest money market fund. At one point, they had $245 billion in there, so $250 billion, and the rates were incredibly high. Mark Yusko tells a story that I believe at one point they were growing so rapidly that there was actually a cash crunch at the Chinese banks, and so the government stepped in and said, "Whoa, time out." Right, and I don't think they completely stopped people from depositing, but there was like a rate limiting, and it simply is people are searching for yield, right? And if you can show them a lower risk way to get the same or higher yield, of course they're going to be interested, right? And I think that's what you see there. And obviously, we haven't yet seen it at scale in the digital world, but it's definitely something that is likely to occur at some point if rates can stay up higher than we're seeing in the traditional banking system.
It's coming. I mean, people don't, the people holding stable coins with us right now are still, a subset of cryptocurrency market investors for the most part. A big theme for Blockfi this year in general is taking our marketing and messaging and capabilities on the platform to a more mainstream audience. And as that starts to happen, I think we'll start to enter an even faster trajectory of growth because the value proposition is great.
Yeah,
you're earning 1.75%, 1.5% in traditional savings accounts or at Marcus or whatever. This is 8.6. It's not that hard to do the math.
Yeah. What are you going to use the money for? So you just raised $30 million. Where's money go?
So, the primary expense for us has been and will continue to be people. So, we grew the team from 15 to 75 last year. We'll go from 75 to around between 125 and 150 this year. And that's growth across the board. Our engineering team, our client service team, our institutional service team, finance team, compliance team. So, growing the team is the number one use of proceeds. After that, it's marketing and product development. So, we're launching a mobile app and fiat on and off ramps. When you have fiat on and off ramps, banks require you to keep reserves with them based on how much ACH transaction volume you're doing. So there can be a little bit of a cash drag there. And launching a credit card is not a small feat, both in terms of the lift you need to put in to bring it to market and get it live. And we also want to do a ton of fun marketing. So our marketing budget is going up by a factor of 30x versus last year. I think we spent like $500,000 on marketing last year. We're spending way more than that on marketing this year. So
there was competitors in the marketplace that spent a lot more than $500,000. So when you do this, how do you guys think about the $30 million number? And this is really for kind of entrepreneurs that are out there in crypto. There haven't been that many kind of 20, 30, plus $1 million fundraisers in the industry in general, right? There's kind of a wave of companies that were around pre-2016 that were able to successfully have large fundraisers like that. Then you had a lot of like that, what I'll call the ICOs, right? So that was not really in exchange for equity for a private for-profit centralized company with all the tokens. Since then, we've seen a couple, but not a ton of these very large fundraisers. Like, how do you think about when's the right time to go fundraise, how much to raise, right? How do you derive the valuation off of that? And kind of just talk me through, like, from the entrepreneur seat, that fundraise framework that you use, like, on making the decision to actually go and do it.
Sure. So I think there's a couple of key inputs to making the decision to go do it. One is there something we could do with the money? And, generally for startups, the answer to that is yes. But, if it's no, then you probably don't need to raise money. And the second thing is, do we have the metrics to raise money at, a valuation that is higher than the previous round that we raised money at and would support us raising the amount of money that we want to raise to do the things that we need to raise money for. So, those are your inputs. And if you've got the metrics and you know what you want to spend the money on, how you derive at valuation is kind of a function of how good of a job you do marketing it. Like, it's really a sales effort at the end of the day. You've got to make a great presentation. You have to have, a compelling narrative around what the company's doing, why it's working, and why it's going to keep growing in addition to just the underlying quantitative metrics. And you have to go talk to people. You have to sell it. Just like anything else. Y'all are raising, when you're raising money for your fund, it's the same concept, right? You've got to meet people, present, grab their attention, make them believe. And fortunately, we've been successful at doing that. I come from a sales background, so I actually love that part of the job. Like I could talk to people all day and tell them what we're doing because I'm just like so excited about it anyways. So I really enjoy it. And I think one of the things that's noteworthy about how we've raised capital at Blockfi, which is also true for a lot of things in the cryptocurrency industry, is that the speed that it moves at is so fast. Like, not only have we reached this kind of new tier in terms of the amount of capital that we've raised, but we raised our Series A 6 months ago. It's not often that companies go from Series A to Series B in under a year, much less 6 months. So,
but I can say this, you probably can't, and this is more the investor mentality of like when you see something working, at least for us, like we want to double and triple down on that, right? It's working, and now is the exact time in which we want to pour gasoline on the fire, right? And take what is already an inflection point and make that curve steeper, right? When I was at Facebook, there's a point in time in 2014 where the ads revenue was growing so quickly that we used to say ads is going bananas. And the reason why we said bananas is because if you think of the shape of a banana, right, it literally kind of like bends
parabolic.
backwards almost. And so that's what you want from every company, right, is you see this growth, and when you see it starting to hit that inflection point, what you actually want to be able to do is that gasoline can literally put it vertical in terms of growth.
Yeah, put your foot further down on the pedal.
Yeah, and I think that's what you guys are doing, right? Is it's really, hey, let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's do it on a bigger scale, and also let's launch tangentially related products that we know our customers want.
That's exactly right, and I think that last point is really important. None of this works. You don't hit that that breakout point in growth if you're not adding value for your clients. That's true for any company, and so. One of the things I've been really proud about that we've done at Blockfi is, one of our core values at the company is clients, not customers. Every decision that we make, we ask ourselves, how does this impact the client? Is this good for the client? Are they going to like it? We solicit product feedback from our clients, and that's a lot of what goes into our product development roadmap is just what people are telling us, what our clients are telling us that they want. And so it's this, it's a great incentive alignment mechanism that capitalism has where
do you use the terminology clients not customers because customers insinuates like a transactional relationship?
Customer is a number in a database, right? Customer is a number in a database that no one knows their name, just happens. And I think a lot of fintech it does great things in terms of having an awesome UX and in terms of delivering automation and products that are powered by technology, and we want to do that at Blockfi. But what we also want to do is introduce people to the experience that maybe comes from like an older time when you could walk into a bank branch and there's a banker there who knows your name or someone that you've worked with, and we want to see if we can deliver that digitally. So I think we're the only place in crypto where there's a number on our website. You can call that phone number.
Who answers?
Someone from our client service team.
Do you answer?
I used to. I actually like it. Every once in a while, I'm one of the first people in the office every morning. I'm like you. I'm an early riser. So every once in a while, the phone rings and no one else is there yet, and it's awesome. I'm like, hey, thanks for calling Blockfi. This is Zach. And the person on the other end will be like, out. Sometimes, most of the time, they don't know who I am.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, okay. Hey, Zach, here's what I need. I'm like, but other times people were like, Zac Prince? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, aren't you the CEO? And they're like, why are you answering the phone? I'm like, I just get in early. Technically, the phone line isn't open yet, but I heard it ring. Like, how you doing? What's up?
I love that. All right, we got to talk about this photo. So he doesn't know I'm going to do this, but for those that can't see it, this is the photo that is on the Bloomberg article that Vildana wrote announcing the fundraise.
Yeah, shout out to Vildana from Bloomberg. Great article.
You guys look like you're about to come out with a rap album.
Really? You think so?
Yes, you and Flory look like you guys are about to come out with a rap album.
See, I look at that and I think that I look like a goofball, and Flory just looks like a stone cold badass.
Flory looks like she's about to fuck people up.
she's an operator, man.
She's not here, but what is she thinking about all this? She excited?
Oh man, it's we're pinching ourselves, right? Like we started this thing in Q3 of 2017. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, trying to raise money, telling people that we thought ICOs were stupid, and they're saying we think you're stupid. It's just seeing it all come together. There were so many things. We were actually on a train together from Boston. We were up at Fidelity's office. We're on a train back together. We actually got to spend like 3 hours together, which doesn't happen that much anymore because we're very busy. And we're like, if you just say, like, build things that people want and fintech flywheel, if you just say it enough, I guess eventually it comes true. I mean, we were saying all this stuff for so long. We had these strategies that we wanted to, bring to the market, and it was a ton of effort. But the feeling that we have now is that the snowball's rolling, and we just have to keep going.
Yeah, that's the secret, man. Just build things that people want, and magically you build a company.
And keep going. I mean, look, it's from the outside looking in, you always hear about the good stuff, but there were moments, right? Like we made our first crypto-backed loan in January of 2018. Price of Bitcoin was around 17,000. It ended the year at 3,000.
How did that feel?
Awful. Right? Like that's brutal.
No loss of capital.
No, we've never lost a penny in any of the lending that we do. But we're fundamentally in the cryptocurrency market. We're fundamentally bullish on what's going to happen in the cryptocurrency market, and it is fundamentally better for our business when the cryptocurrency market cap is larger. So, there's a lot more excitement when the prices are going up than when they're going down. And where are we at now? Are you checking?
No, I'm looking. I'm texting Joe. Joe's sitting over in the corner. I was trying not to interrupt. I was trying to see if we could see the live stream questions, but at the same time, somebody asked about Lightning functionality. They said that should be enough money to add Lightning functionality. What's going on there? Is that something that you guys are going to eventually do?
Yeah, I mean, we decided really early on that custodying private keys and building wallet software was not the area where we were going to add value to the market. And so, we work with Gemini as our primary custodian. We leverage their wallet infrastructure. We also work with BitGo now specifically for USDC, which we added to the platform recently. And so, we'll see which way they go, and that's kind of the direction that Blockfi will go in for the time being. But we are huge fans of Lightning, and would love to support it however we can. But it's not something that's immediately on our roadmap. What we want to do is build products that connect cryptocurrency with the traditional financial services market. So, if we're making a decision of, do we take our engineering team and have them focused on building a credit card or a mobile app versus new wallet infrastructure, we're going to pick the credit card mobile app type product advancements every day.
Makes sense. What is the one thing that you believe now, other than stable coins, that you think everyone else is missing or would disagree with you on?
Ooh, that's a tough one. The stable coin. So I'll put another one out there. So I'll say that I'm a seller of the notion that things like derivatives are a net negative on asset prices for things like Bitcoin.
Why?
Because I think that fundamentally what we're trying to do is integrate and compete with things in the traditional financial market. So whether it's gold or stocks, right? Like at the end of the day, there's an amount of money sloshing around the world, and if you're an asset class, you're trying to grab as much of that as you can. And if you don't build the same things around your new asset class that's trying to grab market share, it's going to be really hard to generate legitimacy in the eyes of the people that control the purse strings for some of those allocations of capital. And so, I think the industry would be well served to lean in to things like, the markets on the CME, to things like the Grayscale Trust that you can access, GBTC through your brokerage account. These are all great things. And one thing I worry about a lot as we go into this next wave of building products that are more relevant for mainstream adoption at Blockfi and marketing to consumers that are maybe not in the space at all right now, is that we're going to convert people and they're going to go to crypto Twitter and they're going to see a bunch of people like yelling at each other and telling them that the only option they have to keep their Bitcoin safe is in a hardware wallet in the bunker. And having options is great, but we should try and highlight the positives in our communication, because there's going to be another wave. New people are going to come in and they're going to try and learn things. They're going to try and ask questions, and it's on all of us to give them a great experience where they come out going, okay, yeah, I learned more and I'm not scared and this does make sense. And so yeah, that's my new.
Is there a blending eventually where right now there's legacy
sure.
world and then there's the crypto world? Does this all come together?
Yeah, there has to be.
Yeah,
there has to be.
That's the natural.
That's what we want.
Collision,
and
right?
that's what we want. If that happens, it means the market's getting bigger, because that's not going to happen if the market cap is sub $250 trillion. So market cap keeps getting bigger. You get a network effect there. As the market cap gets bigger, other traditional market participants become interested. They come in, market gets bigger because they came in, and then bigger market participants want to get involved. And so I absolutely think that, if we fast forward a few years from now, Bitcoin will be on, price quotes right next to commodities or other assets, stocks, that type of stuff, like it was for a while in 2017, honestly, on CNBC. That's going to happen again, and it'll just, 10 years from now, people think, oh yeah, of course Bitcoin's a part of your, asset allocation in a well-diversified investment portfolio.
To me, it feels like sentiment is shifting. I wrote about this earlier this week, and the sentiment is shifting in a way that I don't think we've seen in a long time. There was a clip on CNBC Fast Money.
Loved that.
And
retweeted that real quick.
Yeah, I think it's a guy. I forget his last name. I apologize. But
Guy Adami.
Adami. Okay, yeah. So he basically, the quote was something to the effect of, in a world where central bankers are tripping over each other to devalue their currencies, Bitcoin will prevail.
Yeah, in a world of fiat currencies, Bitcoin wins.
Yeah, Bitcoin is the victor.
Yeah.
And literally, when he said that, I honest to God, rewound it. I had to listen a second time, and then I triple checked that it wasn't a doctored or manipulated video, like some meme that somebody on crypto somehow did. And I just sat there for a minute, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, I did like a I was on the subway watching it. I did like a Michael Jackson leg kick or something. I was so excited. I was like, boom. Well, the other thing that happened in that clip is every single person on the Fast Money panel was bullish.
They're in, man.
On Bitcoin. Look, you don't have to be a genius, right? Like, it was at 20K. It came down. Now it's crossing 10K again. Over the last 2 years, I mean, we're just part of a bigger trend at Blockfi, right? Like, smart people, you guys included, have continued building things.
Yeah.
The space has gotten better.
So, huge shout out to Joe Kernan, because Joe was, I think, the first person that it's like a full-time employee of CNBC to
convert in front of everybody.
Yeah. I mean, he went through a 2-week absolute, like, indoctrination, right? I mean, I still remember seeing him one day and him being skeptical, coming back like a week later, and him literally looking at me and being like, this is the future.
Yeah.
And being like, yes, dude.
Yeah.
And it has permeated throughout the traditional financial system, right? And what I mean by that is not just the language and the sentiment that's displayed on kind of traditional financial press and media, but also you're seeing the conversation change at the registered investment advisor level. You're seeing it change in the institutional investor world. You're seeing it change actually even with people who previously were not bullish. Right, you're starting to see them say, "Wait a minute, like there may be something here." And the one this week that that really caught me off guard, but in a positive way, was the CME's chief economist came out, and now he's not going to say, "Hey, look, Bitcoin's going to be the next global reserve currency" or anything that's kind of on the extreme end of the view, but he articulated very well that Bitcoin is a non-correlated asset, and if it continues to be non-correlated, this will be in pretty much everyone's portfolio. And I thought that was the last person in the world that, other than like a Warren Buffett coming out and flip-flopping, somebody like that was like the last person that I would expect to come out and be that kind of strong in their articulation of Bitcoin.
The data supports it, right?
It definitely does.
The data supports it. I'm actually going on CNBC for the first time later today. As someone who's been on CNBC a ton, I'm going like 10:45, 11, I think. What should I do? What should I say? How do I kill it on CNBC?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if you drop the long Bitcoin, short the bankers, you're a legend. You may not be allowed to come back. I've said it one time. I didn't go on television for a couple of months after that. No, I think the whole thing is the consistency of message is so important, right? There's people who watch that show all day long. They've heard a million different things, but the more that they hear people who are building real companies in the space say the same thing over and over and over and over again, it becomes in some weird way a confidence game for them, right? It's like, hey, I heard about this thing. It's different than what I'm used to. It kind of doesn't have the same foundational structure. The story's a little weird. Like there's no companies, headquarters, all that kind of stuff. But if they hear over and over and over again, like, look, this is working. There are people who are participating in this. It has the network effects. It has the computing power behind it, et cetera. I think eventually you kind of slowly shift their mindset. And so it's less about, like, you're going to go say some, like, magic words and all of a sudden everyone is, like, hypnotized, like, oh, my God, Bitcoin's the future. And it's more just, like, the consistency of message. Every time somebody goes on and says it, we convert, 10 basis points of the viewership. And if we do that every single day, right, eventually you're like, oh, wow, like actually a lot of people, are kind of starting to realize this. So what are you going to say?
I don't know.
You don't know? You have no
I was working on it on the train up here. I mean, I think it's...
You're talking about the fundraise?
Well, of course. It's a segment to cover the fundraise, right? So what are you going to use the money for? Explaining BlockFi at a basic level. But I think...
You'd be a legend if you said you were going to take the money and just buy Bitcoin. Don't say that, but you'd be a legend if you did.
Man, that's actually a good idea. Like, hey, what are you going to use? Hey, what are you going to use the money for? You just raised $30 million. What are you going to use the money for? We're just going to buy Bitcoin. No, I'm just kidding. Here's what we're actually going to do.
You know what?
It's actually not a bad idea.
Listen, you might get a couple of laughs.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is like you just have to try and do a little something to make it memorable, right?
Yeah, of course.
I think like you've got to be comfortable.
You want to see how memes are made? Yeah. If you say that, we'll cut it up, and then after you say we're just going to buy Bitcoin, we'll cut the video, and then we'll play the music and have the glasses come down with the cigarette in your mouth, right? Like, like deal with it.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right. What? Before we got into the conversation, I actually tweeted out blockfi.com/pomp and said, hey, everyone go check out Blockfi.
Dude, we get so many people hitting us up saying, why don't I have a URL like Pomp does?
Really?
Yeah, like I don't think I don't know. I have to ask
them?
our marketing team like why you're so special, but everyone's like, I want like blockfi.com/ my thing. Yeah, I think you're one of the only ones that has one.
You should make a product where people can go and create
their own URL
link. Yeah, and then they get paid for the referral.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, people refer their friends all the time. We have referral links. We have all that good stuff.
Custom referral.
Yeah, people don't get the custom URL that you have.
Is there anybody with a really big audience that's asked?
I can't remember. I can't remember. I just know. I just know. I get the question.
Yeah. You should just make it custom.
I agree.
And then lower the reward that they get if they use the custom one. Like gamify it. All right, man. Listen, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
www.blockfi.com/pomp, www.blockfi.com/pomp, and $30 million in the bank. As everyone who thinks that this is a celebration, now there's just more pressure.
Absolutely. Just keep going.
Let's get it done. All right. Thanks so much, guys.